themselves and a lack of emotional intelligence. And that is something that you need to be intentional about working on, because you are going to go around looking for things from people that have no capacity to give them to you. You are going to go around looking to get things from people, things that you should be giving to yourself. Hi community, welcome back to Acupfulll. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. I am very happy to be back with another video episode, and I look a lot more presentable. I think I didn't look so presentable. I know that might be subjective to what presentable might be to you, but I was just feeling like when I was looking back at that footage, I'm like, oh my goodness, I could have put myself together a little more. This is probably not going to be an every time thing though, because yeah, I'm just trying to press record, obviously look presentable, but not always do a face. And I was just feeling a little bit extra today, feeling extra creative, extra excited, and I thought, why not? I have the time, so why not do it? I am very much looking forward to speaking on today's topic. It's something that I'm finding myself to be quite passionate about, and I really also want to know what you think. So once you've listened to the episode, please don't hesitate to share your thoughts. You can leave a comment in the comment box on whatever platform that you're listening on, and just share your thoughts on it. Today I really wanted to talk about thinking things through, as per the title of the episode, and I'm talking about some very specific things that will have a long-term impact rather, on your life, and the choices that you make regarding these things are going to affect the quality of your life significantly. I mean, especially for us as women. So today I really wanted to talk about thinking it through when it comes to romantic relationships, marriage, and having children. Now, I want to preface this episode by saying that I am somebody that wholeheartedly believes in romantic relationship, in marriage, and in children. I believe in the family unit. I believe that families are so important to the growth, the sustainability, the peace and the happiness of society. And I believe that there are some paths and just some portals, I'm going to say, that have been opened, especially in the more recent generations, where it's taking a lot away from that, and the family is losing its value. I know that it's not with every single individual person or every single family unit here in South Africa, but on the most part, we have so many households where it's single moms. We have so many moms that are baby mamas. They were never married to the father of the child. The father of the child has walked out on them. He is not supporting them. He refuses to pay maintenance. There are so many stories where people are kind of sort of saying, okay, marriage, why? Why should we even consider that? The family unit, things are different now. Why should we even look at things from that perspective? But I just wanted to shed a light on how we can maybe balance it out when we think about it, when you're going to make these kinds of choices in your life, how to think about it, how I've been thinking about it, and to really make sure that we're making decisions that are going to positively impact us and not negatively impact us. So I'm going to have the conversation around those 3 talking points. And again, like I said, I really want to hear from you when you've listened to the episode, when you've come to the end of the episode, what your thoughts are on it. But anyways, like I was saying, I believe in the family unit. I believe in having children. I absolutely believe that children are a blessing from God. Marriage is a blessing from God. Marriage is an assignment, which I will get to. Romantic relationship is beautiful, but I think that they are things that need to be thoroughly thought through. And from what I'm observing in society today, my generation, the younger generations, the idea of all three of these things, what they are, what their purpose is, I think it's become misconstrued and misunderstood, and it's sort of being, all of those things are being used as solely for self-serving purposes, or as self-serving tools. So the first one I want to jump into is romantic relationship. I think that they are so beautiful. I think that they too are a blessing from God, because in my opinion, from where I'm standing according to my beliefs, where romantic relationship goes from is you are boyfriend and girlfriend, and then the next step is marriage, obviously, if that is something that you both want. But just working towards that, and that path leading up to marriage, just getting to know each other, the intimacy that you get to share, where you get to know each other mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that is absolutely beautiful. And I've said it so many times on the podcast, I am a firm believer in love. I think that love is such a beautiful thing, but I also think that we need to be very cautious when we are exploring that route, and you need to really think about what your intentions are when you are going to go into a relationship. Again, that's why I titled the episode Think It Through, because it's such a serious thing, and it will have such a serious impact on your life. Whether that's going to be positive or whether that's going to be negative, it's going to be serious nonetheless. And you do have the choice to decide whether you are going to get into a relationship for the right reasons, with the person that is most fitting for you. It mustn't just be something that you're doing because everyone on social media is doing it, or because people are pressuring you and saying, oh my goodness, you're 30, why are you not in a relationship? Or you're 25, you're still so young, you should be exploring and dating and having fun, right? You need to think about, am I doing this because I'm going to be able to add to this person's life? Am I doing this because of, I know that I will be able to partner with this person, for us to do things together, to grow with each other, to nurture one another? Because relationships are not supposed to be a take thing from the one side, which is something that I'm seeing quite a lot of. And I came across a video on TikTok. I'm going to see if I can find it so that I can add it to this video. But if I can't, just for a little bit of context, this girl's, most of her content, she speaks on the issue of how unfair it is that we've come to a point where there are so many great expectations that are placed on a man in a relationship, and almost very little on a woman. So then she moved on to say that these big expectations are quite transactional a lot of the times, where a woman might feel entitled to a man buying her roses or flowers on the first date, and paying for her transport, and buying her an outfit, or giving her money, or paying a ridiculous amount of money for a date, right? And she was saying that the sense of entitlement is quite disturbing, and she can imagine that it's quite discouraging for the person on the receiving end of it. And that got me thinking, and I said to myself, I think people are they are going into relationships because of the ideas that they are being fed on social media. Especially if you're a chronic social media user, you're going to end up having social media brain, and taking the thoughts that other people are sharing with you and making them yours, and letting it be solely that way. You don't think for yourself, you don't want to explore your own desires, you don't know what it is you actually like and what you don't like. You want flowers because somebody else's boyfriend on their first date did that for them and they posted about it, right? So I think it's a big part of it is because of people are not really thinking about what it is they want out of relationships. And then on the other hand, there's another person on the receiving end of this. There's a guy who you are going on this date with, and he's feeling pressured, and maybe he gives into the pressure, which is also quite sad, because one thing we should always do is be true to ourselves. If you can't afford a thing, then you just can't, and you should make it clear to a person that if that is going to be a prerequisite for this relationship to work, then I'm out, because it's not going to work for me. So then on the other side of things, then you have someone who ends up being in a situation where they're trying to please this person because maybe they never thought they'd end up with a person like that, or maybe they're just really trying to see if they can make it work. But the thing is, you're not staying true to yourself. So what I'm getting to here is that another big thing is, I think my people, my generation, and the younger generations are struggling with a lack of self-awareness and a lack of intimacy with themselves and a lack of emotional intelligence. And that is something that you need to be intentional about working on, because you are going to go around looking for things from people that have no capacity to give them to you. You are going to go around looking to get things from people, things that you should be giving to yourself. And so I think we are going to end up with even more stumbling blocks as time goes on if we don't start working on the relationships that we have with ourselves. If we don't stop projecting onto other people, we are going to have a serious problem where I don't even want to think about it, but I sometimes wonder and go, in 10 years, where are millennials going to be? Where are the Gen Zers going to be? Where are the Gen Alphas going to be? Because everything is very materialistic, everything is very, very transactional, and it's very, very disheartening. I know that there are things that we can't avoid because we do live in a social media age, but there are things that are within our control, like how much social media use we are partaking in, how much of whatever we are choosing to implement in our lives, other people's thoughts, other people's ideas. And so when you are going to go into a relationship, when you are looking at, if you are in a relationship right now, just sit down and look at, are these my values? Are these the things that I like, that I want, that I dislike? Or are these the things that I'm seeing on social media and I am now projecting them and pushing them into my relationship, right? And if you aren't in a relationship, just ask yourself, do I actually want to be in a relationship? Or am I feeling pressured by social media? Am I feeling pressured by society? Am I feeling pressured by friends, by family? What is actually going on here? So it's very, very important to think these through. The person that you are going to be with, that is your team member. You guys are in a team. You guys are growing together, teaching one another. You are exploring together. If you are looking to get married and you are very serious, the intention is to get married to this person, there are far more pressing issues than getting flowers on a first date. You need to know a person's character. You need to know a person's values. How do they manage money? What is their relationship like with money? Do they want kids? Are they interested in learning more about themselves? Do they feel comfortable with the idea of evolving and growing? Because some people want us to stay the same, and that's not possible. Human being is always evolving and always changing. So you need to figure these things out, find these things out. And I just want to say, I'm not saying that you should not be able to express what your love languages are, because for some people it's gifts, for some people it's quality time. Those things matter, but they are not the thing that makes up the whole entire relationship, and that's something that's very important to remember. So give yourself time to think about what your motivations are, what your heart posture is, what is pushing you to do certain things. And you might find that the answer is going to surprise you when you sit down and really think about it, or the answer might be uncomfortable or exactly what you need to hear. But I do think that we need to just slow down a little bit more and give ourselves a chance to really think things through. What do you want your life to look like in the future? And if you're bringing this person in and you are wanting to be in communion with them, be in companion with them, be a companion to them, then what does this mean for you? What does this mean for your life? What does this mean for how you are going to live your life? How is it going to impact you? How is it going to influence you? You know what I'm saying? So that's very, very important, ladies. That's extremely important. And another thing that I just want to add to that is that please don't spend your time, majority of your time, obsessing about a romantic relationship. This might sound very contradictory to what I'm saying, but it's also not, because I'm saying think it through. I am not saying don't date. I'm not saying don't get into a relationship. I'm saying sit down and give yourself time to weigh the pros and the cons and to understand what is motivating you. But also don't make it your whole entire mission, journey, just the reason why you live and you breathe, to either be in a relationship or to make sure that your relationship is thriving. That is a two-way street. When you are in a relationship, it's supposed to be pour, 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 and it's supposed to be I'm taking from you when I need, you're taking from me when you need, but we're pouring back into each other in the ways that we need to, right? And if you aren't in a relationship, then continue to look for what you're looking for, and don't settle about it. I have a friend of mine who was saying that she wants a specific kind of life, and she would like to do that with a specific kind of person, and she's just not willing to settle on that. And I said to her, you know what, I like that. I'm going to keep that one. I'm definitely keeping that one. You don't need to settle. It will happen when it must happen. You just have to keep making sure that you are sticking to the promises that you make to yourself, and you're not going to deviate just because of you're feeling lonely. Loneliness, when you are choosing a partner based on loneliness, that's going to get you into some hot and uncomfortable water. The next thing I want to touch on is marriage. So I have never been married before, but my parents were, and I was exposed to so many other married couples growing up, and I'm just a very curious person. I've said this before. I like to have conversations with different people. I like to talk to people. I love to talk to people that are married, that are in healthy marriages, and that are always willing to be open and honest about marriage, and not create this facade of, oh yeah, when you get married, it's going to be so great, it's going to be amazing, it's going to be beautiful. We are where we are because of we just love each other. No, I want to hear the truth. So the big thing with marriage for me is, and I talk to my mom about it all the time because she was with my dad for over 2 decades, I always hear the same thing, in that it's very important for you to know who you are and know what you want, so that you don't end up getting lost in this idea that marriage is going to be your saving grace, or getting lost in this idea that when you get married, then life finally begins for you and you can just dedicate your whole entire existence to your husband and your kids. It's extremely important to know who you are, what you want, and to make sure that you are able to establish a balance. And a lot of what I've heard is that requires maturity, that requires emotional maturity, mental, spiritual maturity, and of course you are not going to be the most mature person when you get married, right? Because there are things that you're still going to grow into and learn about marriage and about your partner, but it's still mandatory that you really think it through, that you really sit down with yourself and go, this is what I'm looking for out of this is what I'm hoping for out of this. I also understand that marriage is not about love. It's not about feeling this strong bond all the time, and if I don't, then I need to step back on it. It is about showing up every day. It is about saying that I'm choosing this and I'm going to see it through. It is about making sure that you are sticking to your end of the bargain, sticking to your end of the commitment, because it is a huge commitment, and it is a commitment that is going to shape your life, it's going to shift your life, and it's going to change your life, either for the worst or for the better. And I've just always said to myself that I'm looking to be in a position where, especially recently, when I say I always say to myself, no, recently, especially as I've gotten older, I've been saying to myself, I want to be married for the right reasons, and I want to be with someone who wants to be with me, who is just as committed, who is intentional about themselves, because once they are intentional about themselves, once they are intentional about God, once they are intentional about their growth, then they are going to be intentional about me. It's impossible for somebody to care about you or to care about where you go when they don't really care for themselves. And caring for yourself is not just about hygiene, personal hygiene. It's not just about making sure that you get to work on time, completing your tasks on time. Caring about yourself is taking care of your finances. It's being able to communicate your needs. Caring about yourself is knowing when something is off with you emotionally, mentally, spiritually, just being in tune with yourself. That's caring about yourself. It's not making the material things the center of your universe. It's making your well-being the center of your universe, your happiness the center of your universe. So I have made that commitment to myself because, like I said, I believe in marriage and I want that for myself. I want to be with someone who cares for themselves and who is doing it holistically and who is intentional and who knows what they want. They are not doing anything because of society's pressuring them or because of they feel pressured by their parents or family members. They are doing this because of they want to do it. I just want to be with someone who knows who they are, knows their beliefs, knows their values, has a good character. And that's something that is also very important that I always hear my mom say, that when you are a woman, the one very important thing that you need to look at is a man's character. If that man has got a poor character, there is no way he's going to lead you to safety in that marriage. He's not going to lead your family to safety. He's going to expect you to take over, or he's just going to walk out. The chances are high of him walking out. So a man who has good character traits and who is very much intentional about playing his role in his life, in your life, that's a man that you are going to be able to stick beside. I said that marriage is it's an assignment early on, and what I meant by that is, I believe, even in the Bible, you can see it. God is putting people in the covenant of marriage, not for the fun of it, not to feel good, not so that you can say you're married, but because of he has a specific task or tasks for the two of you together. And he brought the two of you together so that you could fulfill those specific tasks, whether it's having the kids, whether it's starting the business or businesses, whether it is pouring into each other, nurturing each other, pouring into other people, nurturing other people. Whatever that assignment is, whatever those assignments are, that is what God has set out for you. These are my beliefs. There's also what you will see in the Bible. You had many couples in the Bible who had assignments, he had brought them together for a very, very specific reason. And I just think about how I don't want to stand in God's way in that regard. I'm not trying to bring someone into my life who I'm not meant to be in assignment with. And that's how we usually end up with a lot of the problems that we end up with, because we are doing things for all of the wrong reasons. So you need to think about it. Marriage, oh my goodness, from all of the married people I've spoken to, the ones in successful marriages and unsuccessful ones, they have said over and over again that when you are going down that path, you've got to be sure, you've got to be prepared, and you have to want it. It is not child's play. And it's not child's play, oh my gosh, you need to be afraid. No, it's not child's play in that there is going to be a lot of discomfort, there's going to be a lot of change, there's going to be a lot of growth, but it's also very beautiful, and it's something that is meant to be experienced by two people who are meant to be there together. And that's something that I want for myself. I really do want for myself, and I think that it's something we should all want. If you want to get married, you should want somebody who you are going to be with for the rest of your life. And I know no one gets married to get divorced, but there are ways to just make sure that you are not missing the point of why you are with a person. And you need to start by just knowing what it is that you want, knowing the direction that you are looking to go in, and seeing if there is any alignment between you and that person. Because if there isn't, then there are going to be problems, there's going to be trouble. So we shouldn't be jumping into things like marriage just for the purpose of it, because it's the next thing, because society is saying you should do it. No, absolutely not. It is a God-given gift. It is something that you are called to, just like people are called to be priests, doctors, nurses, lawyers, teachers. Marriage is something that certain people are called for, they are called to do. Not everyone is supposed to get married, and that is the hill I am standing on, and I'm never ever coming off of it. Not everyone is supposed to get married. Some people are just supposed to stay single. That's just the way it is. Some people are meant to be in marriage and to complete various assignments together. So yeah, ladies, it's not anything to be taken lightly. You need to really sit down and think about it and decide if this is something that I want to do. And when you are in the process of, I was about to say when you're in the process of being single, but yeah, maybe, yeah, the process of being single, think about it. And even when you are with a person and you go, this is my man, this is going to be serious, talk about things. Allow a person to show themselves. See if this is a man that can lead you, if this is a man that can take care of your home. Again, I'm not just talking about the material aspect of things. Is this an emotionally grounded person? Is this a spiritually grounded person? Is this somebody who will be able to carry you when you do not have the strength? Because I know that he will be looking at that as well. Is this somebody who will be able to take care of my children, of my home, of me when things are getting very difficult on my side? Can I trust this person? Are we going to be a team here? Can I trust that when I'm 20 they'll be 80, because I know that I'll be 80 when they're 20? You know, there is a lot to think about and to really look into, but it's so important to do it. And again, I think marriage is really beautiful, and I'm so happy for people that are in happy, healthy marriages, that are doing what they are meant to be doing in their marriages, and who are just thriving and are at peace with that. The last one that I really wanted to get into is children. So again, I love them kids. They are a beautiful blessing from the Lord. I think that people that have children are very blessed. They are experiencing the grace and the love of God, but it's not something to be taken lightly. Again, I have been seeing a lot of commentary, a lot of the conversation on TikTok especially, where recently when somebody turns 21, they go 21 and childless. And there are so many people I saw in the comments of one video where someone said, oh, is this something to flex about? Why are you flexing about something like this? And it felt a little bit like projection. I don't know, but it is beautiful when you are young and you have chosen over and over again to remove yourself from situations where you are going to end up being pregnant. I know that sometimes I'm not someone that believes that things are black and white. Sometimes there are gray, pink, purple areas where some people are just in so much pain and their escape is sex. Some people are trying to literally run away from the situation at home, so they think that maybe getting married and then having kids will be something that saves them, but that's not the case. Some people go and cohabit with a man and they have a child with him, thinking that that's something that will relieve them or release them from the pain. Some people are being negatively influenced by social media and they are ending up in situations where they're baby mamas. I know that it's not always going to be black and white, but we live in a time where we can make choices and we can make good choices for ourselves. And you should make a good choice for yourself and decide that you are not going to have a child when you cannot afford it. You are not going to have a child when you're not mentally, emotionally, spiritually ready for it. When you are not going to have a child when you know that there's a possibility that that father is going to walk out on the child, right? I mean, life happens. People make choices. A person can walk out on you either way, even when you've had all of the conversations. I know that things can always change. A person can change. Things can get weird. However, you can still mitigate the potential disastrous outcome of a situation where a man walks out on you and your child's life when you are emotionally and mentally stable, when you are spiritually stable, when you are financially stable, and when you have support. And by support, I mean family. Support could also mean that you have enough money to be able to hire someone to take care of your children or your child. But I will be honest and say, no one has any business having a child when you cannot afford it. In my opinion, it is unfair to bring a child into the world when you cannot take care of that child. they are now going to come into suffering. It might be that you cannot afford to take care of them financially, or you can afford to take care of them financially, but not mentally or spiritually or emotionally. And a human being requires a balance of all of the things that I just mentioned. They need clothes, they need food, they need to be able to go to school, they need a safe living environment, but you also need to be mentally, emotionally, spiritually present. You need to be present, and obviously then that means that you are physically present. When you are present in those ways, you are raising someone who is more likely going to thrive in the future. You don't want to bring a child into the world that you cannot take care of, or who's going to end up needing to go to therapy to heal from the trauma that you have caused them. So it's so important to just sit down with yourself and go, what is motivating what I'm doing here? Why am I going down this road? What is the benefit of this thing going to be? How am I going to impact other people's lives when I'm making this choice, when I'm making this decision? Very important to think about these things. It's extremely important. I've just gotten to a point where I'm very concerned about the direction that our generation is going in. Our generation, I'm talking about millennials, but also I'm just very concerned that the things we are glorifying and romanticizing are messing up our communities and our society. And it's just the normalization of certain things isn't right. I don't think that any child should be growing up in a home without two parents that love them, mind you, two parents that are stable, that are able to show up, and that are able to be present for their children. If you can't, then take a step back from having a child. I can't afford a child at the moment. I can't. I simply cannot afford a child. I can't afford a child because of finances, because mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I know that I would not be a good parent because I'm not married yet. You know, I'm somebody that wants marriage before I want the child. That is such a big commitment, bringing another human being into the world who's going to depend on me, who's going to depend on me being well, mentally being well, emotionally, for them to then thrive into the future. That is a huge deal. That's not something we should be taking lightly. And I think it's so sad to see young girls, a lot of young girls that I've been seeing, a lot of famous young girls that I've been seeing that are falling pregnant, and it's just sort of cool, it's a vibe, it's whatever. But it's not whatever. As much as a child is a blessing from God, as much as there's so much beauty in that, we still need to be mindful that this is a person who's going to grow up and become an adult one day and need to function, and they're either going to thrive or they're going to be failing because of there are things that were missed in their childhood, or that were not done, or that were not cared for enough to be done. So yeah, that's really what I wanted to talk about today. I've gotten it all off my chest. I'm really passionate about people being in a good place with themselves in their lives and taking good care of themselves and making good decisions that are going to impact them positively and that are going to impact other people positively as well. This is where we are ending this episode. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. You are a blessing to this podcast. Thank you for staying this long. I hope that this episode has got you thinking, that it's got you wondering, that it's got you going, okay, I hear you, sis. I definitely do hear you. And most importantly, I just hope that you have taken something away from this that is going to make you think in the future when you are making certain decisions. Please don't forget that Acupfulll is available on all listening platforms. It's also on YouTube. No video yet. I do have plans to do that next year though. Everywhere, wherever you get your podcasts. And there is also a TikTok page. I have added that link to the show notes. I'm going in a little bit of a different direction with the TikTok page, so it's not really snippets from the episodes anymore like I used to do before. It's something a little bit different, you can follow the page if that's something that interests you, just to go and see and check it out. And please, you are more than welcome to send me a DM on TikTok as well if you are wanting to share your opinion. You can also share your opinion in the show notes, not the show notes, in the comment box. Also, I keep saying welcome to another, well, I've said welcome to another video episode, and now I'm realizing that only people that are watching this on Spotify can see this. Otherwise, you are listening to audio, so just don't mind that. If you are interested in watching video, you can obviously download Spotify, watch for free. It is free when you download, but there are ads in between, so there's that. Have a lovely remainder of this week. Rest when you need to, work when you need to, be kind to yourself and others. Of course, that's very, very important. Please think things through before you do them. Decisions. It's very, very important to let things sit and simmer, and then you can make a decision after. And most importantly, keep doing the things that fill your cup.